Hey knitters, welcome to episode 197 of the Knitty McPurly podcast. I'm your host, Devin Ventry. You can find me online at KnittyMcPurly.com. I'm Devin Ventry. Nope. I'm Knitty McPurly on Instagram. And if you want to email me, I am Devin at KnittyMcPurly.com. Welcome. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so glad you are here. Today I am drinking coffee out of my Wisconsin mug. You'll see I have all my other state mugs, well, many of my other state mugs behind me. Some of them are in circulation. I kind of run through them, you know. I think I've got Maryland downstairs, I've got North Carolina downstairs, and Wisconsin. And then I'll put them back up and I'll take a few more down. I just want to protect the mugs. Like, too many of them cannot live in the kitchen or they will get broken. It's still morning here, so I'm still drinking coffee, but I also have some water in my Arkansas mug from the retreat. Isn't it so cute? The giant, huge Stanley. I have to kind of hold it like this so I don't get tendonitis from carrying it around. It is the moment that we knitters wait for all year long. Do you know what I'm gonna say? Oh yeah, baby, it is sweater weather. Woo, woo, woo. And with this chill in the air, you might notice that I've finished my sweater. This sweater was a whip for a while. I've got it with a little French tuck here, and I'm cheating, I've got shorts on with it because even though it was 46 degrees this morning, it is going to be, I think, like 76 today. So, you know, I've got to mitigate the temperature swings. But this is the Go Lightly sweater, which is a pattern available on my website. Now, the original pattern is written for just a regular DK weight yarn, and my original sample has a turtleneck, although many of my test knitters did make it without the turtleneck. It has a puff here that gives you just a very nice blousey sleeve, and then it comes in, you do all the decreases at one time. At the elbow, I think they're a little bit different. Don't look too closely at my sleeves because I think they're a little bit different, but they feel okay, and I don't think you can really notice if you don't look too closely. Anyway, I thought, let me go right on to progress and shop news, and I will tell you about what I thought. So last week, I put up some kits for the wildflower tee. If you wanted to make one just like mine, you get a wildflower tee, and that is a lot of bang for your buck because it's one full skein for almost every size, and then just more mini skeins to, you know, give you more yarn to finish the sweater. I think the biggest size, or maybe the last couple sizes, do need 2 full skeins, but it's a lot of bang for your buck. It's a low price for an awesome, awesome sweater. And many of you ordered that. Yay. Thank you so much. And those shipped immediately because I happen to have all of that stuff ready to go. I also put up a kit for the Jupiter crop, and I took some better pictures. The original pictures that I had up for the Jupiter crop were just like stills that I had taken from a podcast. So we took some better pictures, and those are up, including some silly ones, because I was just standing there and Gigi was like, okay, Mom, do something more interesting. And so that's where that photo shoot took us. But we have fun. We have a good time. Anyway, I thought maybe you might want to make a Go Lightly sweater out of the Dresden DK, which is so fabulous. This is what I had left, and I'll just show it to you in case you're not familiar with this base. It's a Surrey silk, but DK. You know how Surrey silk is typically like a lace / fingering weight? Well, this has so much fluff that it is DK, and I ended up with not very much left. It wasn't yarn chicken, but this is fairly dense. But I wasn't quite sure if I was gonna make it or if I was gonna need another skein, but I totally made it. So anyway, this morning I thought, why don't I put some kits in the shop for Dresden DK to make the Go Lightly sweater? So I did that. And what I did was I broke it down by size. So you choose your size And then in the comments, before you check out, there's a comment section. Everybody always tries to put the discount code in there if there's a discount code, and there's another place for the discount code. But in the comments, just tell me what color you want, because I'll make it in whatever color you want. I have 18 colors at Knitty McPurly. I also have color cards if you would like to own that in your own home, so you can see what the colors are and what looks good together. But you can get any color you want and then just choose your size. So normally one skein of Dresden DK costs $32. It's more expensive for me and it's more work to dye, so I charge a little bit more for that. However, for the kits, I brought it down to $28 per skein, because if you want to make a whole sweater, you just don't want it to be crazy expensive. So I brought it down to $28 per skein. I also, for the last 3 sizes, I think you need like 11, 12, and 13 skeins. So those extra skeins are only $10 a piece. So, you know, it's still going to be a lot if you want to get a sweater quantity to make the sweater, but at least those last few skeins will be only $10 a piece, which is, I'm actually selling those at a loss, but that's okay, because, you know, it'll make your sweater affordable and you will love it, and it's wonderful. Good things and bad things about Dresden DK. I talked a lot about this when I first got this base. It is like Surrey silk, it's not a lot of stitch definition. So that's good in the sense that if you make a mistake, no one will be able to tell. But it's bad in the sense that if you're not a seasoned knitter and you need to see your mistakes, like you can't tell what you did wrong, this is not a good yarn to start with. I would start with just a regular, like superwash DK, like Dubrovnik DK. I didn't bring any up. Oh yeah, I did bring some up. This is, no, this is worsted, never mind. But it's essentially the same as this, only it is DK weight and this is worsted weight. Anyway, 3 new kits in the shop. That's so exciting for me. It's really fun. I know people like kits because it comes and you have everything you need. It actually doesn't include the pattern. You'd have to buy that separately. I didn't think about that. It's hard to sell something that has a digital component and a physical component, because it confuses the system. The system doesn't know when it's been fulfilled and whatever. But anyway, it's not a very expensive pattern. You can go pick that up too while you're there. Okay. October's color of the month is still available. They have been flying off the shelves. This is a sock set. The sock sets are always the most popular. You can really do a lot with a sock set. You don't have to make socks with it. I have one lovely podcast watcher who is such a tiny person that she makes tops out of the sock set, where she'll use the mini as like the neckline and maybe the sleeves, just a little short sleeve shirt top. But she's just so little that it totally works for her. So you can make anything you want. It's good for shawls if you wanted to have like a multicolor to go with the shawl, or in a color work, fingering, weight item. It's nice to have. So those are available. Also, I have some more August sock sets. I meant to bring up my sock because I am struggling with second sock syndrome right now. All I want to do are the new cast-ons, and I am fighting it. But it's paid off because I got this thing that has been sitting there for a very long time done. It's super soft. You know how mohair has a little bit of a prickle factor? Surrey silk does not. It is so soft, no prickle. I highly recommend it. If you haven't tried it yet, you should. If you wanted to try a single skein project with this, I have a cowl called the Flux Cowl, and that is a single skein project. Very, very simple to work. A ton of people that I have talked to about this cowl say that it is their favorite cowl because it lays so nice. I have mine hanging up in our mudroom. I'm sorry, my son is hacking away in there. He's got a little cold. I have mine hanging up in our mudroom because it is a great, like, oh, we're going to a cold restaurant or a cold movie theater, and I just want to have a little extra something to keep warm. And you can kind of pull it down over your arms if you get really cold. I use mine all the time. That is super great. Okay. Since I finished the sweater, I have been working on my vest. Not a ton. I decided why this project is boring. So this is it inside out because I am working it inside out because this cool faux rib pattern, it's not really a faux rib, it's just kind of it's an interesting, unusual rib. It's mostly purling when you work it in the round, and so I decided to mostly knit and work it on the inside out. So there's a couple reasons why this is boring. It doesn't grow very fast. I've been working on this a lot and it's just kind of dense, it doesn't grow super fast. The color is gorgeous, like I love Black Forest cake, but it's a dark color and there's no color changes. You can see there's a lot of variation in the tonality of the yarn, which I love, but it's a little bit boring. Also, I'm working it inside out, so I can't even enjoy my beautiful pattern development. So once, I'm not sure how long I want it to be. I want it to hit right at the hip bone right here. That's like my favorite sweater length. So what, I've got another couple inches until I get to the divide where I will work the front and the back separately. Again, I'm not using a pattern. I'm just winging it because that's how I roll. If you roll that way, great. If you feel like you would hate it and you just want to knit from a pattern, then you do that and feel good about it. And don't think that one of these things is better than the other. This is knitting. This is our fun thing that we do. This is our hobby. It should be fun. So for me, flying by the seat of my pants is my fun. Okay, now I'm going to contrast what I just said with this week's topic of the week, which is adding sleeves. I hear this a lot from people who are making something short-sleeved, such as the faux set crop, or the Diggory tee, or the Gigi cardigan. Those are three of my most popular patterns and they all have short sleeves. But sometimes people say, I want long sleeves. What do I do? So I'm gonna go through that with you today. Now, warning, warning, warning. There is a little bit of math. I will try my best to make it not boring. If I were you, I highly recommend getting either a caffeinated beverage or some sugar to keep yourself going during the math. Seriously, it's not very long and it is not that boring, but I do like to just give a little disclaimer. And you know that you want to know how to do this. Like, this is some information that you want. I'm going to put up a little picture and you can take a screenshot of it if you're watching on your phone. And you can look at it later to remind yourself how to do this. So I have come up with a fictitious sleeve and a fictitious gauge in nice round numbers just to make it simple for the sake of explanation. So in our fictional scenario, our gauge is 6 stitches per inch and 8 rows per inch. Okay, that's the gauge that we're gonna work with. We're gonna pretend that the top of our pretend sleeve has 108 stitches. That would be like 18 inches around the top. And I want my cuff to be fitted at 6 inches, okay? So the top of the sleeve is easy because that stitch count is given to you by the designer, right? You're there, you have the stitches, or maybe in our fictitious scenario, we have 108 stitches at the top, and I want to go down to 36 stitches in the cuff, okay? So from 108 down to 36, I've got my little subtraction problem. That's 72 stitches that I need to decrease. Each decrease round is gonna decrease 2, right? Because I wanna decrease on each side of that underarm marker. So that means I need 36 decrease rows. So if my sleeve, because I have really long arms, we're gonna pretend that we want a 19-inch long sleeve before the cuff. Cuff is separate. So if my sleeve is 19 inches long and I have 8 rows per inch, that's 152 rows. that are going to be in my sleeve. And I need 36 of those rows to be decrease rows. So I'm going to take 36 into 152, and I get 4.22. Now, what that means is that every fourth round or row, if you're working flat, should be a decrease row. However, it's nice to shorten that up a little bit to verify that you can fit all of your decreases in. You don't want to make a mistake and find that your sleeve is too big in the bottom. So what I would do as a designer is shrink that down to every third round is a decrease round, because even if your decreases end a little bit early, that's okay. You want to make sure you can fit them all in the sleeve. So every third or fourth round can be a decrease round. That's how you do that math. It's really very simple. It's just you need to know your stitch count that you're starting out with, the stitch count that you want at the cuff, the length of the sleeve, and the gauge. And then it's easy to figure out. Was that okay? It didn't take too long, I feel like. Hopefully you stuck with me through the math. But I get that question a lot, and it's a really good question. And that happens a lot where we have a sweater that we just want to modify, and you're like, well, how do I do that? Alternatively, you can do something like what I do on Go Lightly. If you want a blousier sleeve, don't do any decreases the whole sleeve, and you get a nice tube, and then in the end, do all the decreases at one time. And what you can do is do a knit two together all the way around, you know, when you get to the place where you want to decrease. And if that's not enough, you can do more decreases on the next round so that you've got it to the stitch count that you want. Okay, moving right along to the comments section. Catherine Denny said, at present, I'm making lots of progress on my many languishing whips, yarny, and other creativity. As I have osteoarthritis in my hip, where activity is painful, and I'm not doing a lot except sitting and crafting. I will be having surgery in a few weeks. I'm thankful that I'm a creative person, as I feel productive even though I don't feel like doing anything. I am so sorry, Catherine. That is a bummer. My husband had that back at the beginning of the year, like around January, February, and he had surgery in March, and he's much better now. Like, he's up and about and doing most things that he wants to do. He needs another surgery. They're just not sure how long it will take, but anyway, surgery is kind of amazing these days. They can really do a lot of things. Connie Schooneman says, hi, Devin. I live in Western North Carolina. I now have power and water, and I am thrilled I can watch your podcast on my phone today. No real damage to my house, but my town and surrounding small towns, and especially Asheville, are devastated. Thank you for any prayers for our area. Here is my request. Would you have some of the balm in Harvest, Cinnamon, Clove, Pumpkin scent, or something like that? I can't wait to try this, but I really love those scents. Love your podcast. Thanks for always making me smile. That's a good suggestion, Connie. I like that suggestion. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe like a PSL, like a pumpkin spice latte. That sounds good. Maybe I'll do that next. Is that too close to the coffee shop? I don't know. Let me think about it. But I have taken your request under consideration, and I will keep you posted. Nurse Kara Knits says, I spent the majority of my childhood in the North Carolina mountains. Shout out to Bruce Drysdale Elementary School in Hendersonville. My aging parents are way up Ski Mountain in Blowing Rock, North Carolina. No power yet, but their water is back on. Neighbors cleared the road, and folks can get out if need be. Black Mountain Yarn Shop is closed, and they can't even get in the shop yet to assess the damage. They are such an amazing resource in the fiber world. I hope they can recover. Prayers to all up in the hollers that haven't been heard from yet. Yes, amen, sister. Prayers for all of those people who we have not heard from yet. I'm so glad that your parents have the water on. That's something. Hopefully they'll get the electricity up soon. Yeah, Black Mountain Yarn Shop. Oh, what a bummer. I hope that everybody can get themselves back up on their feet and get all the help that they need. Kimberly Connor says, wow, you are fast. You made the kit and I bought it without hesitation. I have admired your wildflower tea for a while now. So excited. Me too. Do you remember when I went through that whole Pennsylvania Dutch distelfink thing? I just love that folk art, the hex signs from Pennsylvania and that area. I love them. And so that was what the look I was going for with my wildflower tea. And I love that so many of you loved it and purchased the kit. Awesome. Katie B, Gryffindor Chaser, hi Katie, says the coffee shop scented balm is delightful and it really smells like a cozy coffee shop. I actually brought mine up here today. So I have some more left in the sticks. I'm pretty sure that I am out of the tins right now. I have this flat sack from the Scrappy Thread that I have had forever. It's a little bit beat up. It's seen some wear because it lives in my purse all the time. But I have my stick in there, and my left hand just takes less of a beating than my right hand with chicken fry burns and dog bites and everything else. But it just smells so good. It's coffee beans. I love coffee beans. It's so good. Anyway, Katie, I am so happy you liked it. She said, I ordered a bunch immediately because I love the balm. It is so good. And fall scents are the best. I just realized that even though autumn isn't my favorite season, it is my favorite for all the scents. Favorite scent season. And I know how you feel about being torn between whips and new project dreams. I was reorganizing my yarn and whips this past week, and as a part of the process, I piled my projects in one spot. They're usually scattered around the house, me too. The pile kept getting bigger and bigger, and I stopped counting at 12 whips. Most of them are smaller projects, which I could finish if I focused. There's a flux cowl, a window pane cowl, a Sophie scarf, a scarf started in the most gorgeous Peace Rose colorway from my local yarn store that is stalled now because I think the yarn actually needs to be a sweater, but I've got 8 inches by 15 inches of scarf already knit, hard to frog, 3 socks, 2 blankets, a diggory tee that is stalled because it's summertime knitting and we're heading into sweater weather, which is probably why I made good progress on my Benedicta. Although the acquisition of a 6-month-old kitten has currently made all yarn-related activities slightly perilous. I have truly excelled at casting on projects in the past 6 months. That may be the most positive sentence I've ever heard. I am amazing at casting stuff on. Yes, I also am amazing at that. It's the back end that's causing me problems. She says, I redistributed the projects back to their homes across the house. She's like, no, I don't want to see this pile. Spread that stuff back out. And promptly cast on a sweater based on the Audrey pattern with a short sleeve modification in DK weight instead of worsted. That gauge switcheroo worksheet is very handy. Yay! Katie's using the worksheet. Is everybody using the worksheet? I'm so excited because it's really so easy, right? It's super simple to knit a pattern in a different weight of yarn in most instances. It won't always work, but it does work a lot of the time. To be fair, I did pick up one of the socks again and finished it yesterday. Yay, Katie! Gold star, big trophy blue ribbon, awesome. Now I just have to knit its twin to complete the pair. The October colorway is gorgeous. When I think of opal, I think of the white ones, not the multicolor ones. So the jewel tones were a total surprise. Absolutely stunning. And my last comment comes from Pam. Hi, Pam. She says, hi, Devin. I had the feeling you had many cups of coffee today. You seemed very wired. Honestly, that's where I live. I live at Wired, and it's just that I've had too few cups of coffee on those other days. I am excited about your sock club and definitely want to participate. Also, I wanted to say that I have the Summer Lee book and I took it to Staples where they can put it on a spiral binding so that it'll lay flat when you're using it. That is genius, Pam. Did anybody else know you could do that? I mean, I know that Staples does that, but I didn't think about taking a book that I own and saying, hey, can you take this binding off and put it in a spiral? But why not? That is so awesome. And what a good idea. Genius. Some of you have asked me about the sock club. The signups are not up yet. Watch the newsletter. It is taking longer than I expected. And the reason is because I am not a tech person. Tech is hard for me. And this is a whole other service than my regular website. My regular website's run by Shopify, but this is a whole other website that my website will link to. So you'll go to my website, you'll click the link, and it will link to this other site where you'll sign up because it's a subscription and it's its own thing. So I'm just trying to figure it out, and waiting for them to get back to me when I don't understand something takes time. So I had hoped to have it up by now, but it is. I'm actively working on it, and it will happen soon. So watch for the newsletter. You can sign up for that on my website if you have not already. Okay, moving right along to knitting fantasies. I have 2 picks for you today. My first pick is from Petite Knit, and it is the hipster hat. This is a DK weight hat. It comes in 4 sizes. She calls them baby, child, woman, man, which are very simple and easy to understand. Like I said, it's in DK weight. It has super cool decreases, and it's just a simple 2x2 rib hat, but I just love the way she did the decreases. They look amazing. I'm not sure what the cast on is. I am presuming that this is a bottom-up hat. I suppose it's possible that it's not, but it probably is. And so it looks like it has some kind of a cool cast on too. Has anybody knit this hat? What do we think of it? I love it. I think it's great. I would definitely, if I were in the market for knitting a hat, I would totally pick this one. My next pick is by Teti Lutsak, who is amazing. I talked about her before. She's Ukrainian, and she just has got it. She understands the zeitgeist and how to design for it and take pictures with that vibe. She's just, everything she does is beautiful. This sweater is called the Grass Whispers sweater. It is worsted weight, and it looks like a fairly quick knit. I mean, as sweaters go, it's worsted weight. It has a little bit of color work, a little bit of texture, and just looks very wearable. I really, really like it a lot. It comes in 9 sizes too, so lots of options there. All right, so here's what happened. You guys, I have no story. No story at all. Nobody sent me one. Send me a story, please. Send me your knitting story. If something happened to you when you were knitting something, if you were traveling and something happened, or you had your knitting in some place, or a pet or a child or a friend was involved, or you made something for someone that was very meaningful to you, I would love to hear that story. Please send it to me so I can share it on the podcast. This is everybody's favorite part, and you guys are just so great. Like, you have these great stories. They are really good. I really appreciate them. Send them to me and I will share them. But since I don't have a story for you, I will just tell you a little piece of good news that's happening in my dye studio. So I started dyeing yarn in January of 2021. Right when I started chemo, I started dyeing yarn because I needed something to do with myself. I would be super sick after I'd have my treatment, and then as soon as I felt better, I was up and dyeing yarn, and I would dye like a crazy person, and then I'd have my next treatment, and then I'd be down and I'd feel terrible, and then I'd be back up. And anyway, it was a great thing for me to do during chemo because it gave me something to focus on. It was a new skill, and things like that can be depressing. And so having something to keep your mind busy, it's great. Well, it turns out I love dyeing yarn. It's so much fun. Anyway, I started out with just double burners that you plug in with hotel pans. And I started out with 2 burners and 2 hotel pans. And over time, it has grown and grown and grown. And I am up to 12 now. I have 12 burners that I can dye 12 at one time. But I was very limited by how much electricity I have, because each one of these burners, I don't know the numbers and whether it's watts or gigahertz or kilojoules or whatever. I don't know that stuff, but whatever it was, my husband was like, you can plug in 2 at a time. We do not have enough electrical power to plug in more. And so this was this big dilemma in our lives. Like, how am I going to get more power? Because my husband's like, it would be thousands of dollars to get all this power brought into our house so we could plug in all these pots. And you know, it's a lot of management when you're dyeing yarn in a pot, because there are hot spots. So you have to constantly keep the yarn moving so that you don't have hot spots. And then I went to the Arkansas yarn retreat, and Lori told me all about her restaurant grade holding proofing cabinet that, without any hot spots, gets just a million pans of yarn up to temperature with one plug, and you don't have to monitor it. You just turn it on and walk away. And then when it's done, you open the door and let it cool. And my brain exploded. I talked to you about this when I came back from this retreat about a month ago. It was like, it solved so many of my problems. So it's coming today. I am so excited. It's going to be so great. They're going to deliver it for me into the dye studio. And hopefully by the end of the day today, I will be dyeing yarn. I'm so pumped. So that's really exciting. I'll be able to do a lot more with much less electricity. It takes up a lot less space because it's vertical space, not counter space. Anyway, it's big. It's exciting for me. I am really pumped, and I kind of need it because of Advent Calendar and the sock club and the color of the month and all of the kits and the sweaters and the yarn that we all need to live our lives. So it's going to be great. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I love being here with you every week. I will be back next Saturday, and I hope you have a great week of knitting. Until then, bye, knitters.